in 6 months, I just packed up everything, sold the house, sold everything I have, record collections, just the whole shebang,
Wow.
all in 6 months. And just like, what can I fit into 3 suitcases? That's
Yeah.
all I've got and all that I can take. And
Wow.
as you can imagine, Ray, that's a lot of whittling down. I mean, when you have a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
house. And
Yeah.
it was, it's difficult. I think the biggest toll is really the emotional toll, because
Yes.
California is my home. This is where I was planning to retire. This is where all my friends are, where I've had my career, where I've been living for the past 40 plus years. So it's really just getting past that part, the emotional, but knowing I've got to get the heck out of here, because if I don't, I'm going to either end up homeless or God knows what, things I just didn't want to think about.
Hi, can I ask you a favor? Adventure Freaks is growing, but most of you watching haven't subscribed yet. If you enjoy this content or find it helpful, hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it really helps us continue to bring you more tips and ideas for living better abroad. So today we are heading over to one of my favorite countries. We do a lot of talking about Albania with my new friend Zana Khan. Zana, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to see you too, Ray.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out to do this and share this info. I really appreciate it. Let's start out by a little bit of your backstory, where you moved to, where you moved from, and how you chose Albania of all places.
Albania, where is that? Yeah, definitely. So I was working in San Francisco, working at a corporate consultancy. And then in late 2023, was the beginning of the mass layoffs that have just happened on a daily basis now, right? I mean, people are just
Yes.
being laid off by the hundreds every single day. And so I'm 59. I was 59 when I got laid off. Didn't give us much notice at all. I mean, I was looking to retire, I had my plans and what have you. So this was like a total monkey wrench. I was not looking to be out of work at 59,
Yeah.
right before retirement, right? And so, yeah, so I looked for about a year to see if I could get another job, because, I wasn't planning on retiring until I'm 65, 67 or so.
Yeah.
And, but since those mass layoffs started, I mean, really, I looked for a year, and, I'm a pretty qualified person. I've had a long career, and there was nothing I could do. I was not being hired, which is nothing was happening. So I'm like, well, what the heck am I going to do? I'm not quite ready to retire yet. And if I carry on staying in San Francisco, one of the most expensive cities in the US to start
Yeah.
with, California,
Yeah.
everything was pretty expensive. And I'm like, wow. So like I'm just paying money out of my savings
Yeah.
every single month. And that really adds up. I mean, California has got the highest property taxes
Yeah.
rates, and we've got like high utilities, which is just ridiculous. So just out of the bat, that's like thousands upon thousands of dollars. I'm like, this is just not sustainable.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
get the hell out of here. If I'm not going to get a job, I got to get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And so I just started looking, well, where can I go? And thus began my research of moving out of the USA.
Hmm.
So like most people, the most obvious choice in the beginning is let's go to Mexico. And so,
Right.
right, it's easy, just across the border. A lot of people go there. And so I had just had one of my friends had moved to Ajijic. And so when she heard about my situation, that I wasn't able to find work and was kind of losing my mind a little bit, she goes, why don't you come take a vacation and check out Ajijic? I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. And so I went to visit Ajijic for the Day of the Dead celebration. So that was around about November-ish.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And on my channel, I have done a whole series on Ahihic and how much I love Ahihic. So in my mind, after staying there for about a week, I'm like, wow, Ahihic is great. I've got a friend here. It's already a pretty established expat community. This is going to be super easy. And so I put that in my mind. I'll give myself about 6 months to plan, pack everything up, 40 years of living in California, and head my way down. And so they used to have this program. It was called the RNE program, which you're probably familiar with because you do these sort of interviews. Mm-hmm. And so that was a very, very easy route to be able to go to Mexico, which was like you just sort of go there and then you overstay your welcome, as it were.
Yes.
So like if you went there for the 180 days, on the 181st day,
right.
you could go about saying, hey, I just want to be here. It's sort of like an amnesty program. But then in March of 2025, they decided they weren't going to do that program anymore.
Yes. Feeling confused about where to move abroad, which countries you even qualify for, or what your real options are? You're not alone. This is where most people get stuck and where they often waste a lot of time and money going in the wrong direction. That's why we offer 2 simple ways to help, depending on what you need. First is the Ideal Destination Finder. It's a personalized assessment that looks at your lifestyle, priorities, and budget, and then shows you your top 3 countries. It's really impressive. It's designed to help you narrow things down, avoid endless research, and reduce the risk of choosing the wrong place. And if you feel like you need more personalized help, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me. I'll walk you through your situation, clarify which countries make sense for you, which countries you can actually qualify for, and the next steps, so you're not guessing. Both options are easy to find at adventurefreaks.com. Just scroll down and you'll see the consultation with me to the right. Just click it and schedule your consultation. Over here to the left, you'll see the Ideal Destination Finder. Just click it to get started. Links are also in the description below, or you can scan the QR codes on the screen. Now let's get back to the video.
So that threw a big sort of monkey wrench in my whole plan of my going there, because I was planning to go in August and then just, it was supposedly originally it was going to continue, we didn't know, well into 2026. So then it was like, well, I don't know. Then I just really started pausing and just because that was an easy plan, let's just go. But then it was like, well, why don't I just sit and really think about, now that Mexico gave me the idea I could actually retire and get out of here and not be blowing all my savings. And then I started thinking about, well, at 60, I want to be closer to my family. My family is in London. And it's like, that probably makes more sense. I want to see my nieces and nephews grow up and be a part of their having kids and all that sort of stuff, especially in my older years. And so then I started looking in the Europe sort of area, because before Ahihic, I'd actually been looking at Portugal, another really popular place where a lot of Americans were going, and I'd heard about all the digital nomading that was going on there. But I didn't actually look too much deeper into Portugal because, as you probably also know, it became the hot spot of 2024 and 2025. Like everyone and their mother was moving to Portugal. And so things became more difficult to go to Portugal. And I think I also read some story about how there was anti-California sentiment now happening in Portugal, where they were like, keep out, stay in your own country sort of thing. I don't know if that was really true or not, but that's what I'm seeing on YouTube. And so anyway, so then I started looking at Europe because I knew I couldn't really afford to get my own place in London, because London is just as crazy as the USA. The real estate market is, just unaffordable. Rentals are unaffordable. And so the plan was, okay, well, if I get to Europe, then I'm at the most only going to be a 3-hour flight from London, where my family is. And so first, I'm looking at, it was Portugal, that was out of the lane. Then I'm like, well, how about Italy or Spain or all those kind of places? And so I was on YouTube just doing the research, looking at Adventure Freaks and checking out all the places you were going to. And then I fell upon JP and Amelia's video where they had gone to Tirana. And I was like, where the hell is Tirana? I'd never even heard of Albania before. But the way they were going on about it, it sounded like a really wonderful place where they were walking around. Tirana looked awesome, sounded affordable, and all that good stuff. And so then that began my rabbit hole research into this place I'd never heard of before, Albania. And then I fell upon your video where you were doing an interview with a lady who was living in Tirana. And so I was like, wow, this place sounds cool. It looks great. It sounds really affordable. And apparently they do speak English, so I could at least fit in as I learn the language. And so the more and more I researched it and saw how affordable it is, because I think either it was on your show, on JP and Amelia's, whatever, or other research, it was like you can get a 1 or 2 bedroom in Tirana for about $450, which just blows your mind, right?
Yeah.
In $450 won't even get you a bedroom in someone's house.
Yeah, it won't even get you a closet in San Francisco where you're from.
Not even a toilet, for God's sake. So yeah, I mean, room rentals, looking back at San Francisco, they start at even $1,000 to $1,500. And so this made it really seem possible that, wow, if I can, because rent is obviously the most expensive expense you're going to have.
Yeah.
And if I could get a place for $450, that would be amazing. And it sounded like from all the videos I was watching that even like food prices and all those kind of things would be inexpensive too. So anyway, so with that in my mind, it just felt right. So, and I knew I wanted to go to London and be close to my family. So then that was it. In 6 months, I just packed up everything, sold the house, sold everything I have, record collections, just the whole shebang.
Wow.
All in 6 months. And just like, what can I fit into 3 suitcases?
Yeah.
That's all I've got and all that I can take.
Wow.
And as you can imagine, Ray, that's a lot of whittling down. I mean, when you have a whole house. And it was, it's difficult. I think the biggest toll is really the emotional toll.
Yes.
California is my home. This is where I was planning to retire. This is where all my friends are, where I've had my career, where I've been living for the past 40 plus years. So it's really just getting past that part, the emotional, but knowing I've got to get the heck out of here, because if I don't, I'm going to either end up homeless or God knows what, things I just didn't want to think about. I mean, I'm sure you've seen many of the videos going around. I mean, a lot of seniors who then, I think it was the property taxes that really frightened me. Because even if you own your house, those property taxes just don't go away, right?
Yeah.
And it's like when you're on a fixed income, I just knew that was going to be a big problem. But anyway, sold the house, 3 suitcases, went home to London to recuperate, decompress, get away from the trauma of everything going on in California between the mass layoffs, the political craziness that's going on currently.
Yeah.
And so from London, then going on a scouting trip to Tirana was going to be much, much easier because it was just a 3-hour flight. And flights from London to Tirana are like ridiculously inexpensive. I think it cost me $70.
Yeah, yeah.
It was an easy scouting trip to do.
Yeah.
So Tirana was the first choice because it's all I'd really heard about. There was the choice of Tirana, Saranda, or Vlora. These are the main places that people talk about when they're moving to Albania.
Yeah.
Now, of course, coming from San Francisco, California, beach is my natural habitat, as it were, and I love to swim and I really love the beach, and I'm so lucky to do that in California. But somehow I just knew I didn't want to go to Vlora and I didn't want to go to Saranda. And really the reasons, I don't know if they're true or not, but it's everything I saw on YouTube. It looked like the beaches were kind of polluted and not all, especially Vlore. And I'm like, I don't know about all of that.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'll go check out Tirana. Tirana is an awesome city. It's
Yeah.
got great energy, it's vital, it's young, it's happening. It's got a lot of things for you to do. But I really go by my vibe about a place. So I was spent about, I think I was there for 5 days, and I really went from every single place I'd seen in the YouTube videos to go. I went to the communist block area, checked out this place, that place, and really stayed in the Airbnb and tried to see, well, how would it be if I actually lived here?
Hmm.
And so I really felt the vibe was a little bit too hectic for me because I realized, I'm going to be 60, I'm trying to retire. I've already lived in like really bustling places like San Francisco and New York and all that stuff. And I'm like, I just need to really chill out. I want to
Yeah.
let myself have this sort of retirement experience in my life now after hustling all my life.
Yeah.
And so, even though I found a real estate agent in Tirana, and she was awesome, and she would like WhatsApp me every single day with different places, and the rents were great. She found me places anywhere between $300 to $500 to $600, depending on what we were
Mhm.
looking for and which district. But I really went with my intuition and felt like I wanted to go somewhere else. So I did some more research. I went back to London and I did some more research on different places. And then I'm very much into nature and hiking, again, coming from a beautiful place like California, where you have all those opportunities. I wasn't seeing a lot of hiking happening in Toronto. Now, they do have hiking, but it wasn't like California style
Hmm.
hiking.
Yeah.
I'm a real, like I go to Yosemite and I hike, 16 miles a weekend or whatever. I needed that level of hiking. And then therefore I found Shkoda. And so Shkoda is like they call it the gateway to the Balkan Alps. And I'm
Okay.
like, that
Ooh.
sounds more up my alley. And I'm like, so that got me excited because I was going to have all this free time. I'm retiring. I was going to planning on doing a lot of hiking, keep myself fit in my old age. And so I'm like, okay, that hiking, that sounds great. Then I did more research into it and found out it's got a beautiful lake. Well, that's awesome, right? Who doesn't want to
Yeah.
live by a lake? Love nature. And then, of course, I still wanted to have a beach because I wanted it all. And
Yep.
so it turned out that there's a beach called Velapoya, which is not that far from Shkoda. And in fact, you can, and I've already done it, you can catch a bus from downtown Shkoda and you can get to the beach, Velapoya Beach, within 40 minutes, and the bus ride
Ooh.
is like $4. So you
Oh,
can't go wrong with it.
wow. That's like
So
perfect.
yeah,
40 minutes away.
yeah, exactly. So therefore, with the lake, the beach, and the beautiful hiking, I'm like, this is a place I got to check out. So then I took another scouting trip, and this time I came to Shkoda. And I just fell in love with Shkoder right away. As soon as I came here, it was like quaint, just had these beautiful walking streets, the Pedronal, I think they call it. Just quaint, just like really, really pretty with boutiques and shops,
Yeah.
pedestrian paths, gelato stores, little cute boutiques, and everyone bikes here. It's kind of like Amsterdam in a way.
Yeah.
There's like there people drive obviously, but the majority of the people, I swear to God, everyone is on a bike. You can find a 2-year-old biking along, and you can find a 100-year-old man or woman is still biking.
Yeah.
So they're all pretty fit, and they all bike, and they do their groceries on the bike. They go do everything on a bike. So, and of
D-
course, once I moved here, I had to buy a bike. So.
Now in Shkoda, do you feel like it's been pretty welcoming for you? And are you having any communication issues at all?
Well, I definitely am trying to learn the language. It's a difficult language. Oh,
Yes.
actually, you know what? You think it's a difficult language, and it is, but there are some words that are kind of rooted, sort of like Italian or like even some French words and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of words you can sort of get. It's easier when you're reading stuff because things kind of make sense.
Yeah.
But when talking is a little harder, just like with any other language, right? Reading is a lot slower. You can focus when people start talking at the same pace. But I really haven't had a problem. I've learned the basics like hello, thank you, how are you? So that's basic language. Of course, Google Translate is whipped out every single minute,
Yeah.
and that's how I talk to my landlord. But of course, you have to be careful with Google Translate. It's not always accurate, and suddenly you're having misunderstandings.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's easy. And the thing about Shkoda and in Tirana is that everybody speaks English practically,
Yeah.
especially the people, because I think they learn it in school. With
Yeah.
the older folks, not so much, but that's when the Google Translate comes out. But I haven't had any problem whatsoever. The people are absolutely welcoming.
Yeah.
They love Americans, and
Yeah.
as soon as they know you're speaking English, it's like, hey, I have like
Yeah.
these couple kids that live down the street from me, and they've realized I'm the American, and
Yeah.
so they come up and they chase me in a throng of like 8 kids, and like seven middle schoolers, like, hey, talk to us in American. It's like, yeah. So
That's
yeah,
great.
and the old men love talking to you if they hear an American accent too.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Well, thanks for all of that. I I had a very similar issue when I turned 50 and I was looking for work and just and I was one of those people whenever I submitted my application, I would get quite a few people interested and but it just changed after 50. There was just I couldn't find any good work, any
Yeah,
solid
exactly.
work. It just changes. And I'll tell you, ageism does exist.
Oh
It's a major reality for a lot of people who I think aren't old. You're not old, you're in your prime. It's when you have the most knowledge and the most wisdom. And and it's amazing that a lot of people that find themselves in situations like you have, and I had earlier, is that nobody wants you anymore. In the US, it's just really difficult, really challenging.
yeah,
It just
yeah.
change
You really
everything
become a
changes.
throwaway.
And it's just it's a shame. And I've always said this too. Like I lived many years in New York City, and I always watched this and observed this. Like I was friends with a lot of older people, and once they retired, they couldn't stay in New York City. Their entire lives, they lived, born, raised, worked in New York City, and but their retirement couldn't sustain them in New York City. There's a couple cities like that, and you were living in the other one, San Francisco. There's
Yeah,
others also in California because it's so expensive. So it's almost like these places that you spend your entire life growing up, working, contributing, almost they always push you out. These certain places in the United States. And it's really unfortunate because you have to uproot and figure out what you're going to do, and you got to leave a place that you love dearly. But New York City's been doing that for so long because it's always been so expensive to exist there. As soon as you retire, uh, we're just going to be breaking even, or we're going to have to be pulling money out of our savings just to survive here. So we got to leave. And a lot of people go to
exactly.
Florida. A lot of people go to North Carolina. They go to South Carolina. They go to places like that. And now there's a big movement of people that are doing what you did and researching
Exactly.
and finding these incredible places where you can live, I mean, at a fraction of what it costs to live in San Francisco. And it does get scary when you have to pull out money from your all of that hard work and accumulation of savings, and you're watching it just tank every month because nobody will hire you. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's very,
It's
very
like we all
scary.
have to outsource our retirements.
Yeah, it's really it's really incredible. All right, so you found Albania, and it's really a gem. There's so many things to love about Albania, and like you said, flights in Europe are really cheap. You can do weekends to anywhere in Europe, and sometimes you can find round trip tickets for $50. So
Beautiful.
it's amazing the access that you have. You're closer to your family in England, so that's great. What are you doing for a visa? Let's go dive into the visa for the viewers watching. What visa are you on? And there is a special caveat to that with being a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, well, that was one of the biggest decision makers that, yeah, let's just go to Albania because as an American citizen, we get to come and stay in Albania for a whole year, which unlike any other place that gives you 180 in Mexico or 90 days in other European cities, as American citizens, we get to just come on in, get a place to stay and stay for the whole year. And then if you want, and then residency, I've been starting to look into that. It seems pretty straightforward. There's a lot of pathways that they make it fairly easy for you to get in. And if you don't want to stay, well, what I'm doing is like I'm going to be here for a year. I moved in September, so I have until the September of this year. And so I just want to travel around Europe because you've made Italy look really great. That place, Puglia, you're always talking about.
Yeah.
So that's the place I want to check out. Just check it out and see what works. I mean, obviously, I love Shkoder. I've got zero complaints, but you've always got to see what your options are, right? So I'm going to check it all out. And so, yeah, so I can stay here for a year. Then if I didn't actually get residency, then I have to leave for 90 days.
Yes.
And then when you come back after 90 days, the 1 year starts up
Starts
again.
up again. Yeah. Yeah, that's the great thing. If you don't want to, so you have to also, if you're going to apply for residency, then you got to prove a certain amount of income, which isn't high in
It's a
Albania.
lot less in Mexico, let's put it that way.
Yes, yeah, Mexico, and it's interesting that you knew that loophole because a lot of people they don't, they didn't
Well, I'm a
know
researcher.
you are because a lot of people didn't know that loophole and they shut it down real quick. And then they've more than doubled their income requirement for retirees, and so it's priced out a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people to live in Mexico, which is why I don't do a lot of videos on Mexico as of late because it's so costly to move there now, and a lot of people can't afford to move there. But that said, so you are just now you're in this place. You sold everything. You downsized.
Every-
You got rid of it all, and that had to be tough. That's a hard thing. I mean, letting go of things in boxes that you open up and you have these treasures of things that you've kept from college, from high school. Did you pack any of that stuff up and put it in storage, or is any of it with friends?
I wasn't going to keep a storage unit because I wasn't planning on coming back, to be honest. I knew that part. And like I was saying, the hardest part really, really was letting go of the personal stuff. Like I've been keeping a journal since I was 20. So that
Yeah.
was like boxes upon boxes. That was the hardest part, honestly,
What did you
getting
do
rid of
with the
stuff.
journals?
I digitized some of it, you
Okay.
can,
Yeah.
but it would take you forever if you're going to digitize 20 years worth of
Sure.
journals,
Yeah.
quite frankly. So I just had a fireplace, and one afternoon, it was just time to just burn it all. And it was like, yeah, there was a lot of crying, there was a lot of
Yeah.
emotion letting go. And I think that's really the biggest thing. But also photo albums, I digitized a lot of that. And luckily I'd already we've gone to digital on camera anyways in the
Yeah.
last 10, whatever years that's been going on. So really those were the hardest thing. My journals, my photos, and also my record collection that I've been having since I was about 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
Letting go of
Yeah.
the Blondie albums or like the Smiths and all that great stuff. But then I had to like sort of justify in my mind, listen, all of this music is available on YouTube or
Yeah.
whatever. Let's
It
just be
is.
honest. When was the last time I actually listened to Parallel Lines? Great
Yeah.
as an album as it is. But yeah, you just have to let go. And you really, really, I mean, that's what the exercise is. You understand like how much stuff is, you just don't need it, right?
Yeah.
And like I said in one of my videos, it's like all of that stuff, you might not have the physical album anymore or the physical journal, but all those memories, they're always with you in your hard drive, right? And
Yeah.
you can access it anytime. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but those were the hardest things. The stuff, whatever, you can always get more stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
We,
the other beauty of moving to a place like Albania and even in Mexico is that when you rent a place, you don't have to buy any furniture, you don't
yeah.
got to buy any dishes. So it's like, you move in and you're good to go. So I don't have to be buying any stuff. So, like, if, let's say, for example, if I didn't want to stay in Albania, I don't now suddenly have to sell my dining table, all the furniture, all this. It just comes with the place.
Yeah. Well, we've lived kind of parallel lives because I just actually, a couple weeks ago was burning some of my old journals, and I have a ton of them. And there's so
Yeah.
many memories and so many experiences shared in those journals that I didn't even go back and look through them because I didn't want to take the time. And I still have a bunch more. And I have, so yeah, that's tough stuff. But you did it and you became Zen. And look at you. You have lightened the load and you're now in Albania. Okay, so then you get over to Albania and you have to find a place to rent. So you identified this real estate agent. You said she's great. She identified some places for you. Where did you find her? And were you in contact with her prior to your flight to Albania?
Yeah. Well, once I knew that I first off wanted to move to Toronto, I got a agent there. How I found her was through Facebook. I mean, Facebook is how you
Yes.
find just about everything,
Yep.
right? Because I'd seen a couple of her listings and she seemed like a really nice person, and she was. We're still friends now. She WhatsApps me, how is things going in Shkoder?
Well, what's her
So,
name?
what's her name? Oriana.
Oriana.
Look her
Okay.
up. She's on Facebook. Oriana Topi, I believe is the last name.
Okay.
So if
Yeah.
you're looking for a place in Toronto, look her up. Tell her that Zana sent you. But then, so since I didn't move to Toronto, when I came from my scouting trip from London to Shkoder, before I even arrived to Shkoder, I had started looking up the same as I did for Oriana in Toronto. I started looking up Shkoder real estate agents on Facebook. And then I found my agent through a real estate agency called Primus. And he was fantastic, spoke fantastic English. I started off with a different agent who didn't speak such great English, and we had a lot of misunderstandings. But this other guy that I found at Primus was perfect. He sent me some pictures and listings before I even got to Shkoda. And then I showed him places that I had seen online. And so before I even came to Shkoda, I had about 5 places that I was going to come look at. So
Okay.
it was a very trip. I knew exactly where I wanted to go, and I knew that I was going to, for my own mental state, just have a place to live by the time I came to Shkoda.
Were you Airbnb-ing at Zana while you were scouting out Skoda?
Oh, so the week that I was scouting Shkoda, yes, I stayed at an Airbnb. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So you looked around and what were the prices of rents in Shkoda?
Yeah, so they were great. So at first I absolutely fell in love because you know how it is when you see places online, right?
Yeah.
So I saw this one place, it was like on the fifth floor, had a view of the mountains, and
Mhm.
by the pictures, it looked like hardwood floors, all the kind of things that I like and I'm used to. I'm a minimalist, I like modern design and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I booked that through one agent. And then there were some other places, and these were, I've made my budget that I didn't want to spend more than $500. And
Hmm.
of course, if I get something for less, of course, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And so I'd also sort of like through my real estate agent, figured out the kind of neighborhoods that I liked. So naturally, most of the expats that come into Shkoda, and that's true as I'm here, all end up kind of living downtown, if you want to call it a downtown, the most central sort of area. And so that one place that I had seen online that seemed so fabulous, that was a 3 bedroom and it was $500. And then the places that my real estate agent who I stuck with at Primus, he also knew my budget was 500. And so we went with that. I needed to have a 2 bedroom because I knew I would be, having my family coming to visit.
Hmm.
So having a guest room, perhaps even using it as an office and all that kind of stuff. So 2 bedroom, $500 sounds great. So the place that I really, really liked, I fell in love with, that started the whole thing. So when I actually arrived in Shkoder, well, of course, I was going to go see that place first because it was a 3 bedroom. It was downtown, had a beautiful view of the mountains that we have here. Well, so then I ended up going to see the place. And sure, it was in a beautiful location. It was downtown. But the reason why this 3 bedroom, 2 bath was $500, I soon found out, was that there was a whole bunch of construction going on right across the street. So I'm like,
Uh,
well, that's not really going to work for me because it was going to be working, banging, hammering all day long, which isn't going to be
mhm.
so zen, which is what I was looking for. But as I did that tour, I also really figured out in my mind, I didn't want to live downtown because I'm a
Mm.
walker. So walking, I don't need to be living right next to the spa market or the big market.
Yeah.
As I did that tour during my week, I could see that anything in Shkoder was only a 20-minute walk.
Yeah.
So it didn't
Okay.
matter, I lived right downtown. And so the place that I did end up finding is a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. It's totally modern, all brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom, everything. And it's a villa. So I have the second floor of the villa. My landlords live down below and some more Americans live upstairs. And it's in a more suburban sort of neighborhood, but I can walk to downtown.
Nice.
Not really a downtown, but it is the downtown. You can walk to that in 10 minutes from where I'm at. So yeah, so I found myself an absolutely amazing place, a 2 bedroom, which is 450 euros with the dollar falling a little bit. That comes around to about $500.
Okay.
I know you're going to ask me about the other things that I pay for. So my rent is 450 euros, which turns out to be about $500.
Hmm.
My internet is absolutely amazing because back in California, my internet was costing me about $75.
Yeah.
Guess how much it is here?
Mm, 20.
No, $11.
Wow.
The high-speed fiber optic, probably better than what I had in California. Honestly, it hasn't dropped once. I can do Zoom calls, do whatever, and absolutely zero problem. My cell phone back in California, same thing, paying about $75. Here, it's 11. So
Wow.
yeah, all in all, so my rent is, like I said, about $500. My electric turns out to be about 20 during the summer. Now that it's winter, it does get cold over here, colder than I imagined actually in Albania. And it's at tops $35 is what I paid last month.
Okay.
So compared to California, which doesn't even get that cold, I would pay around $90 to PG&E
Yeah.
in wintertime. And then, but the thing is, utilities in California just keep on going up. I
Yeah.
don't even know what they are anymore. And water, forget about it, is $200 a month in California.
Yeah.
Water here is included in my rent of $500.
Wow. Yeah. So now it sounds like you really scored a really great place. $500, 2 bed, 1 bath, modern, furnished. Um, did can you find in Škoda rentals for less?
Yes, because I went, this, I thought I had a great deal, right? Thinking, woohoo. But anyway, so I went to an expat Thanksgiving party in November. And this was in the Russian district, which I actually really like. It's I don't know if there's that many Russians living there, but nevertheless, it's called the Russian district. But it's really vibrant and they've got lots of cool things happening over there. So I already like that district anyway. So I went to this Thanksgiving party, and so they were up on, I think they were up on the fifth floor, beautiful views of the mountains, everything, and really nice place. It wasn't quite as big as my own, but I asked them, so how much are you guys paying over here? And they're like, 350. I'm like, 350, what? But
for
you
a
know,
one bedroom or
coming
two
to this,
bedroom?
it's a two bedroom
A
and a
two
two bath.
bedroom.
So, and yeah, so it was like the fifth or the seventh floor. I don't remember. Now, the only thing, I wouldn't actually live there myself in the end, even though it's 350 is a beautiful place, is that they have one of those rickety old elevators
Yeah.
that you're not really sure you're actually going to make it all the way
Yeah.
up.
It's part of
So
the
like, and also you can't just ride it up. So like when I arrived at the party, I had to call, the friends, and they have to come down in the elevator and do some jiggle wiggle with whatever to take you up and bring you back down. So if you can deal with that, 350 is pretty great.
yeah, wow. That's impressive. All right. So you're settled in. You are staying there for a year. You got a nice place in Shkoda, and you really love the town, making friends. It's great. Okay. So we covered utilities, Wi-Fi, cell. All right. Now for groceries. People want to know, are are groceries over in Albania, they're expensive everywhere now, but are they less expensive than what they were in San Francisco where you shopped?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, no matter where you go, your groceries are going to be less than they are in San Francisco, even
Yeah.
if you just move to wherever, right?
Yeah.
So, no, the groceries here, I mean, it depends on what you're getting. There are some things that are about par because some things are imported. So,
Yes.
some things like that are a little bit more expensive. Like if you're going to buy something that comes from America, which I generally do not because I don't need to, because they have lots of great products of their own. Or
Sure.
if you're buying, say, something that's from the UK, those things are going to cost a little bit more. Like, for example, a Cadbury's bar, which is, I mean, they make it in the US too, but that's about uh, $2, I think, in the
Okay.
US, about a pound 50 back home in London. That same bar of chocolate here is a little bit more because it's imported, but
Sure.
not really much. That
Yeah.
same milk bar is still maybe 215 lek, which turns out to be 200, I mean, $2.15. Still
Okay.
don't do. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's really reasonable. What's really reasonable is, now I knew you would ask this question, so I bought just this
Oh.
morning a bag
Oh.
of produce, and we've got broccoli, oranges, onions, lemon, cucumber, stuff that I would just need today. So I do my groceries on a daily basis because you can get fresh produce all up and down the street. You've got vendors just selling produce either from their own backyard,
Yeah.
or if you don't trust that, they've got like stands everywhere. There is
Yeah.
no shortage of produce. And a bag like this, which is going to feed me for the week for one person, that costs me, I don't know, $2. Back home, just this head of broccoli alone would cost more than $2
Yeah.
back in San Francisco, but I got the whole bag of produce for $2.
Yeah.
So you really just can't go wrong. But like I said, everybody here, the one thing that I find really amusing about Shkoda is that that owns homes has a backyard. Not one of those backyards is a lawn. That's just not done.
Yeah.
Everybody's backyard is a miniature farm, and you gotta love that because I've been invited to a lot of local people's homes, and I'm always like, wow, you've got chickens, you've got pigs, you've got fig trees, you've got apple trees.
Yeah.
They really use their backyards for growing food.
Yeah.
And so I was
Wow.
saying, you walk up and down the street every single day, as well as, at the grocery stores and produce stores, you're going to find a lot of people selling the broccoli or the okra or the peppers just from their backyard, and that's for like they'll sell it to you for nickels,
Yeah.
and there is no shortage of produce, and
Yeah.
it's so expensive.
How much do you think you're averaging per month on groceries?
Produce, meat, everything is totally inexpensive here. Everything is done as in much of the European cities where you'll go to the butcher, you'll go to the produce person, you'll go to the cheesemonger, you'll go to the bakery and just do your shopping at these different places. Now, of course, you can go to a grocery store and get a majority of these things too,
Sure.
but really people shop by going to the store that sells the thing that they're looking for.
Yeah. Do you think that you could get by on 200 a month in groceries overall?
Oh, absolutely. I was actually just doing the math on this the other day because I knew I was going to be chatting with you. So the way that I see it, because everyone pays in cash for everything here, hardly
Okay.
anything is paid by credit card.
Yeah.
Everything is very much a cash place. So that I don't have to pay all the ATM fees and all that kind of craziness, is
Yeah.
I'll just take out a chunk of money to be able to pay for the internet, the rent, and all that. So
Yeah.
I've been budgeting myself at $1,000 a month. And so with my rent and the internet and all that stuff, that ends up coming to about 500 something. And everything else, I easily live with my groceries and going out for dinner with the other 500 bucks. So 1,000
Okay.
bucks as a single person. Now, I don't drink a lot, so that could be different if you're going out boozing every night. But just doing normal things, groceries, going out for a dinner here and there, 1,000 bucks for a single person is just fine.
Yeah. Okay. So you're living on 1,000 a month in
That's what I'm
all it.
budgeting myself at this moment. Now, once in a while, if you need something like I have to buy a comforter, that's going to blow the budget a
Sure.
little bit.
Yeah.
But on average, every single month, I am able to live on $1,000 a month. Sometimes I even have money left over. Woohoo!
Well, how often do you go out to eat when you're talking $1,000 per month? So what is a meal if you go out to a restaurant, a local restaurant in Shkoder?
Yeah.
What does it
Okay.
cost and how many times are you going out per
I
month
don't go
eating?
out that often. I
Okay.
really like to leave it a healthy lifestyle. I like to cook for myself, make the salmon, make my own vegetarian dish, Pakistani food, or whatever, Mexican food, because nobody sells Mexican food here. That's the
Yeah.
one thing. If you love cilantro, don't come to Albania.
Yeah.
They don't even know what cilantro is. So I'm going to have to buy some seeds so I can actually have cilantro to cook with. But anyway, back to your question about food. So, for example, a really nice hamburger, like a big one with all the fixings on it, with French fries and a salad, that's $4. Now, if
Okay.
you go to the crazy Burger King, which I refuse to, but I went in there just to do the research, a hamburger and fries, because it's an American organization, that same sort of meal is going to cost you $8.
Yeah.
Whereas getting an actual real hamburger with fries and a salad at a sit-down restaurant is only $4.50,
Right.
and that's amazing. A Coke is about $1. A bottle of water is $1. If you want to have a nice fancy meal, go to a place like Fiji or Roma with fish and all that kind of stuff. You're looking at about $20 a person.
Okay.
So really, no, that's not including wine because I don't really drink. But you could easily, a dinner that would normally back home in California cost you about 35 to 40. You can easily get that for about 20 bucks over here. You can eat really well. I don't
Yeah.
eat out that often. Like I said, I cook at home. If I go out with my friends, then we'll go out, but it's never really cost that much at all. I
Yeah.
think the biggest expense I've ever put was 2,000 lex. So that's really 20 bucks, and that was a fish meal.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the biggest. And what's typical fare for an Albanian dish? If you go out to like a regular Albanian restaurant, what do you order? What do you eat?
Right. Well, that's definitely something I had to experiment with when I first came here. So I tried this one meal that they called father's rice. I'm like, well, what the heck is father's rice? Let's give that a go. So I asked him what is father's rice. Well, sure enough, it's a mound of rice. It comes with goulash, and it comes with two meatballs. It comes with salad, and it came with a bunch of other side things. And so that's like more than one person can possibly eat, you know.
Yeah.
Just the rice and goulash would have been enough. Now you're giving me the meatballs and you're giving me salad, and it was $7.
Oh, wow. So just going to a local restaurant, you're going to save quite a bit of money, but you don't
Yeah.
eat the meatballs. So you had to,
Exactly. So I'm like, hey, you want the guy next door? You want my meatballs?
well, that is
But
that's
yeah,
the fun part too. Like when you go to these other countries and you don't speak the language and you're just going to try something that's the fare of the country and you order it and give it a try, but you can't, it comes with meat or whatever and you don't eat it. That's it can be kind of an issue. But yeah, that's
yeah.
great. So, okay, so now, all right, we covered the groceries, restaurants, entertainment. What do you do for fun in Shkoda? And is there a cost to the fun?
All right. So, as I said, I am more of an outdoorsy person. So, my entertainment doesn't really cost that much other than bus fare to get to the beach, which I said was $4 to get to the beach, which $4, I mean, come on, let's get real. It's so inexpensive. To get to the lake, I go by bicycle, that's free. Now, if you like to play, like the expat groups, they're always doing things, and I go out with them once in a while, but I'm really not a bar person. But if you want to go to the bar, they've got lots of bars. They've got
Yeah.
rooftop bars, they've got your hole in the wall bars, they've got bars along the main touristy area. They've got billiards, seems to be quite popular. I don't play billiards. They've got darts. They don't, what I've found is they don't have a lot of places like in San Francisco where you can actually, go dance. There's no such thing as ecstatic dancing, which I used to do back
Mhm.
home. They like look at me, ecstatic dancing, what is that? So it's hard to explain when you don't speak the language, but they just think, oh, she's wild and crazy American girl. Yoga is also not a really big thing. I used to teach yoga when I was in California, and I was asking my real estate agent if I wanted to do outdoor yoga, how would that go over? He goes, I don't think that's really going to go over, Zana, because that's like people being half naked. I'm like, wow, you consider wearing yoga gear being half naked? Well, it's a Muslim country, right? Well, at least it's predominantly
Yeah.
Muslim. And
Hmm.
so most of the women wouldn't even think about, according to my real estate agent, wouldn't even think about doing yoga outdoor in a public place. So
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
happening.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's something I do miss. There are a couple of places where you can do yoga, but it's an open market. So if you're a yoga instructor, that might be something you come do here. Ecstatic dancing is not going to be happening. There really are not that many like dance places like we have back in California. Now they do have live music where they have the Albanian music, if you're into that. And that's free. You just go to a bar and they start doing Albanian music and you can check it out. You can go to restaurants. I think they have those kind of places in California too, where you're dining and then people come around and start singing their Albanian music.
Yeah.
That goes on a lot in the plaza. But really, that's really the entertainment. It's eating out or going to these like game places where you can play pool and do darts and that sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like you're like me. I really enjoy hiking and outdoor stuff too, and a lot of that stuff is just free. Out of just curiosity, before we move on to the couple other things that we have, you said that there's a few expats that you've met in Shkoda. Where are they coming from? Most of the expats that you see, where are they from?
Right. So mostly, I've got to be honest, they are all from not no, from the USA.
They
There's
are.
a couple that are from California. So those are good friends of mine. There's a lot of people coming from the Midwest. I've met some people from North Carolina, Wisconsin, Kansas.
Wow. So many U.S. citizens are moving there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Great information, Zana. Thank you. So the last thing we have is the healthcare. And so everybody that's watching this wants to know, what is the healthcare quality like in Albania? How do you access it? And can you get some kind of insurance plan that covers you? What are you doing for healthcare?
Well, this is where I'm going to be unhelpful to you.
Okay.
So I'm pretty happy. I'm healthy. I do a lot of yoga. I do a lot of walking, do a lot of biking. So thus far, knock wood, I have not needed to go see a doctor. But from what I understand, there is in Shkoder what's called the American Hospital. And supposedly it's supposedly a fairly good health system. I don't know how much it is. You'd have to look that up. Dentist, of course, I do need that. And so cleaning is anywhere from 25 to 35 bucks. So that compared to California, where I think it's 150 just for cleaning, is awesome. Haven't had to do any dental work beyond that thus far, but from what I hear is all of Albania, not just Shkoda, has kind of a, like a lot of other countries, dental tourism, I think it's called.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will come just to get their teeth done from the UK or other countries because it's way, way less.
Hmm. Okay, so you're paying out of pocket, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, for $35 for dental
Yeah.
work. But now I do know that the health insurance can't be that much because when I was looking in through my lawyer, like if I wanted to, for example, start my own business, one of the things that you have to pay is $120 a month if you want to go that business route. And what that 120 does, it pays your health insurance. So I'm thinking, therefore, if that's what, from my understanding, you'll have to do your own research.
Hmm.
But according to this lawyer, that 120 that ensures that you will then have health insurance. So if I had an employee, I would then be paying 120 for them too. So that kind of makes sense.
Okay.
That 120 is the insurance. But again, compared to the USA, I mean, where you're paying about 500 bucks out of every paycheck
Yeah.
for your health insurance, that's
Right.
pretty reasonable.
Okay, and that's you're sharing a different residency option where you could start a business and a lawyer informed you that that's a process that you could pursue if
Yeah,
interested. Okay.
yeah, that is one of the easiest routes. I'm understanding everyone's situation is different, but that is a fairly easy route if you want to get your 5-year residency, because if you open a business, 5 years is 90% guaranteed.
Yeah. Okay. All right, great. And the other thing that I just wanted to add, you mentioned it sounds like you're transferring money from the US to, I don't know, do you have a bank? Did you set up a bank account in Albania?
Yeah, so much like most expats, I'm understanding that the Charles Schwab is the best way to go
It
because you have
is.
less transactional fees. And so, yeah, so my ATM fee is very low with Charles Schwab. And yeah, so since everything is cash, I'll just pull out what I need for the month, which at this point, as we discussed, is the $1,000 budget. So I pull that out and then I just pay in cash.
Okay. Are you transferring it from Schwab to the bank in Albania?
I haven't started a bank account yet, but that's
Okay.
something that I will be doing this year. Now, if people want to bank, because originally I had understood that until you're a resident, you can't have a bank account, but I soon found out that's not actually true.
Yeah.
If you have a lease, an apartment lease, which I do, then you can actually open a bank account with Union, seems to be the bank, and
Okay.
you can to transfer money into that from your Charles Schwab or whatever you've got going on. So yeah,
Okay.
you can start a bank account in Albania without having your residency, as long as you can prove that you're living here.
And how do you pay rent there?
You have to pay by cash.
Okay, so you're going to an ATM, taking the money out, and then paying them.
Yeah, nobody, I mean, absolutely anywhere in Albania, nobody is paying with check or
Okay.
credit card for anything. I
Interesting.
mean, they do now have credit card in some of the cafes and some restaurants, but otherwise, just be sure you always have cash. Everything is done with cash.
Yeah. All right. Well, Zana, that is everything. Is there anything else you can think of that we didn't discuss that could be helpful to the viewers watching that are considering, you know, moving abroad, living abroad?
Living in Albania? Well, the things I would say for Albania specific, I don't know about other places. Definitely have cash. Definitely learn Albanian. It will come in very handy. If you like cilantro, forget about it because all they have is parsley. So if you like that Mexican food and you like cilantro, bring some seeds and start growing it. If you like pour over coffee, forget about it. It's not happening. So it's mostly espresso drinks, Turkish drinks. So if you like your pour over American style coffee, bring your own beans, bring your own filters and all that sort of stuff, and you should be good to go. But nevertheless, the coffee is excellent. And talking about cost of living, a cappuccino here is $1.75, some places too. So it's excellent.
Yeah. Well, Zana, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. It's a pleasure to meet you. Oh, one other thing I wanted to, you said that you had a channel. How do
I do.
people find you? So you have a YouTube channel. What's the name of your YouTube channel so people can find you?
So the YouTube channel is My Slow Flow Life. And I started that when I got laid off because I needed to process everything I was going through. So it really just documents my journey of getting laid off, not finding a job, and then escaping the country. So that's a series I'm working on right now. So I've documented scouting out Ajijic, Mexico, and now I'm going to start up on my Shkoder series. So my slow flow life, subscribe and like.
Yes, check it out. And Zana, thanks again for doing this. This is so helpful. Great information and a pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.